Okay, let's call this meeting of the Haysville Planning Commission to order. First item of business is a roll call.
Meyer. Here. Hatcher. Williams.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Azier.
Here.
Wethington. Franken.
Here.
Plummer. Here.
Next item of business is presentation and approval of minutes of March 11th, 2021. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as
Thank you,
presented.
Deb.
I'll second.
Hey, thank you. I have a motion and second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Meyer?
Meyer abstained.
This is special order of business instead of new business? Okay. We have a public hearing to consider a zone change request from D to E for 7141 South Broadway. To protect the rights of all parties involved and in order to create an opportunity for everyone to speak their opinions and present information to Haysville Planning Commission, follows a specific procedure in reaching a decision. A copy of available by the door. Your attention to this procedure is appreciated. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I second it.
A motion and second to open the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are now formally open for the public hearing to consider zone change requests for the city of Haysville. Do any members of the Planning Commission have a conflict of interest in this case? If so, please disqualify yourself from further action in this case. You may choose to speak as a member of the public. Hearing none, we'll move on. Have any members received any written or electronic communication on this matter? If so, please describe them. Staff, please present.
Good evening. So a little background information on this application was for a zone change from D light commercial to E heavy commercial in order to run a welding business. The public hearing notices were mailed on May 5th. On May 6th, notice of public hearing was published in the official newspaper, the Centennial Times. Section 700B of the zoning regulation provides specific matters for the consideration of the Planning Commission when approving or not approving a rezoning request for a specific property. Number one is zoning uses and characters of the neighborhood. The subject property is vacant and has not been used. Adjacent properties are zoned for E heavy commercial to the north, D light commercial to the south, F light industrial to the east, A single family to the west. It is not uncommon for this area to have E heavy commercial as indicated on the map below in orange. Number two is sustainability of the subject property for the uses to which it has been restricted. The property is currently zoned D light commercial and a welding shop is not allowed in the current zoning use. The uses permitted in the E heavy commercial district, including a welding shop, are suitable for the site and are compatible with surrounding zoning and land uses. Three is extent to which removal of the restrictions will detrimentally affect nearby property. The property is currently surrounded by light commercial and heavy commercial lots and adjacent to a light industrial lot and a single family lot. Staff does not foresee any detrimental impacts to the nearby property if the request is granted. The property will be heavy commercial and has the same size, height, and setback requirements to the existing zoning. Staff does not see any detrimental effect, but is recommending requiring screening if there will be any items stored outside. Number four is length of time subject property has remained vacant as zoned. The property is currently unplatted, and the property was last sold in 2020. Number five, relative gain to the public health, safety, and welfare as compared to the loss in value or the hardship imposed upon the applicant. The health, safety, and welfare matters associated with the proposed E heavy commercial zoning should not be significantly different than those associated with the existing D light commercial zoning. Number six, governments of the requested change to the adopted or recognized comprehensive plan. Haysville's land use plan identifies the property as commercial and does not differentiate between heavy or light commercial. The comprehensive plan provides the following goal for commercial: provide opportunities for continuation and expansion of retail activities in the Haysville area. Number 7 is impact of the proposed development on community facilities. Municipal water and sewer is available to the property. Municipal services such as police and fire protection are already provided to the area, so no additional burden. The lot is located along Broadway, a 5-lane highway. Number 8, opposition or support of neighborhood residents. No one has indicated their opposition to the zone change. We did receive comments. They're in the packet. One new comment did come in today, and I'm going to read that out loud to you. And that was on 5/27, around approximately 11:30 a.m. Marsha Armstrong called asking what business was going into the property located at 7141 South Broadway. As an elderly lady who lives behind the property in the residential area to the west was asking about it and wondered if it was something that was going to be very noisy. We informed her it was a welding business. She thanked me for the information, and that was all that she said. The other comments are in your packet. Number 9, recommendation of the staff. Staff recommends approval of the zone change with provision that a protective overlay be added per Chapter 16, Section 417B5 of the Haysville Municipal Zoning and Planning Code. The protective overlay should include a requirement for screening of any outdoor stored items. An opaque screening should be installed along the west and south property lines. The following materials would be allowed: wood fence board, plastic or PVC material, provided such materials are designed for use as fencing. Masonry materials are concrete poured or placed in such fashion as to meet fence design requirements.
Any questions for staff? None.
No.
What other uses are allowed in that heavy commercial?
Angie, you pulling that up?
No.
I have to pull that up real quick. I know there's another welding shop to the north of there. It's a different type of welding. So I know, but that is heavy commercial, just 2 doors down. Heavy commercial, are you pulling it up? Okay. So uses permitted, any of the uses permitted, any use listed as permitted use in the D district, except that such as uses must comply with the regulations of that district. So amusement enterprises included billiard or pool hall, bowling alley, boxing arena, dance hall, and games of skill and science, animal feed store, auction house, automobile repair shop, automobile retail sales and related parts and accessory sales, automobile and trailer sales area, new or used automobile, baseball or football stadiums and sports arena, carpenter or carpenter shop, Class A club, Class B club, commercial dry cleaning and or laundry establishment, commercial storage warehouse, also including units available for rent and storage of buildings by individuals, construction, sales and service, drinking establishment, electronic assembly, flea market, industrial dry cleaner, industrial laundry, lawnmower and similar small equipment sales and repairs, lumber yard, machine shop, welding shop, metal furniture fabrication, heat treating, blacksmithing, provided that it abuts residential. The area is screened by a minimum 6-foot tall opaque fence. Microwave tower, monument sales, outdoor storage yards for which lease space for the temporary storage of operable commercial trucks or trailers and recreational vehicles or equipment, boats, campers, and automobiles and trucks, provided any area for the purpose of providing lease space for outdoor storage, must have an all-weather surface and be screened from adjacent properties. Plumbing, heating, and air conditioning supply houses, pony riding ring without permanent stables, printing press operations, private clubs, radio transmission tower, rental facilities, restaurant, drinking establishment, tattoo parlors, tavern, television, transmission tower, tool equipment rental with outdoor storage of rental items allowed, outdoor theaters, wholesale food combination area or catering establishment. That would be it. and then it goes into conditional use.
Okay. Are the applicants or their agent present? Would you like to speak?
Sure.
They tell you need to state your name and address for the record.
My name is Kyle Selkert. My address is 8925 South Woodside here in Haysville.
Thank you. Do you have anything you would like to add to any of what's been said so far? Just describe maybe what your plans are and.
My plans are run a company. I do business for the military. I build replacement parts, and so I'm not planning on being open to the public. One thing I would like you to take into consideration is that building was vacant before, just like she said. So it was bringing in no revenue to the area, to Haysville. So with me being in there, I'm planning on growing, have more employees there. Employees are going to eat food in the area. That's going to bring more money to Haysville. Just the sales of me selling stuff out of there is going to bring tax money, tax dollars on the property itself. So it's going to bring more revenue to Haysville, so it should be a good thing for Haysville.
Thank you. Now is the time for any member of the public to speak, if there are any.
I think I was the only one that said something else.
I assume there are no questions for the public. No rebuttal necessary. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, public comment is now closed. Commission action on the floor is open to commissioners' comments regarding the following criteria listed there for you. My question, if nobody else has a question, I can wait. My point in asking about what other uses are allowed is we are changing the zoning for this property, not for this business. So should this business decide to relocate down the line, we have the opportunity to just buy the property and do any of those uses with this. So I wanted to make sure that we were all aware that we could have a stadium there, but we could also have a bar or a microwave tower, and I wanted all of you to be aware that that's the decision we're really making here. I have no problems with the welding shop going there, but the issue for us as a body to consider is the availability for all of those options to go onto that property what we want. And that is what I think we should discuss first. And if anyone has thoughts, now would be the time. Including Mark.
I would add to that, with the protective overlay option, you could exclude certain businesses that you might not want allowed. If you do think it's a good fit for some of the businesses, but not for all,
Yep.
this would be the time to add that too.
And there's no way in the old zoning to allow a conditional use for this kind of property. For this
Okay.
instance, we have to go to the other zoning to allow it. So if you have concerns about some specific uses or all other specific uses, we need to start talking about what to do about that. If nobody has any concerns and somebody wants to make a motion, we can do that. We should just at least have the discussion.
And I can print them if you would rather look at them too.
I memorize them.
So,
I would like to see them.
okay, let me get a couple copies.
If we do the protective overlay, do we have, at the time we do the protective overlay, do we have to designate what we are concerned or would like restricted? Or can that come back to us?
You always have the option to table this if you would like to think about it further.
No, I'm just talking about, because I have no problem with this either,
Mhm.
this usage. But by adding the protective overlay,
It should be done at the same time, otherwise you'd have to have another hearing.
okay.
I'll go get those real quick.
I would like to table this for the moment and cover another item if we can while we're putting together paperwork. I wish Angie wouldn't have left. I want to ask her about procedurally whether we can table during a public hearing, or the public comment section is closed,
Right.
but we are in the middle of a public hearing, and the proposition of opening another one seems far more complex than I think I was ready to deal with.
It's not gonna take very long to get copies, so we can hold
Okay.
tight for just a few.
Well, or we could go to the bicycle master plan. It's not a public hearing. And at least make use of our time.
Okay.
So I move that we table this for a moment.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Those opposed? Okay, so I should probably make a motion that we move this up on the agenda, but let's just all agree that we'll come back to the other stuff. So in this time, I think we should review the PED plan. Do we have anything to present on this?
So this is just gonna be a review of this.
Informational.
It's not an actual open hearing, but basically this is your chance for you guys to review it. It will come back when we present the whole comp plan, but this is basically your first review. Is there anything that you guys are wanting to look at? They combined the survey with the plan that they have into this. It was something that they wanted to do, so this is kind of what was done a couple years ago, but this is what they're looking at wanting to do moving forward.
Any comments or general discussion?
And these can be emailed to us also if you guys look through it and then see something that you want going forward to be changed. So,
Thank you. We need to take no action on this tonight, right?
nope,
Okay.
just for discussion.
Yeah. Okay. If there is no other comment or discussion on the bicycle ped master plan, we can move on and return to our agenda where we left off. So now we have a copy of the permitted uses. And Deb, I don't know, do you want to go down individually?
Yeah, thank you,
Okay. I would say we go through all of them. If somebody has an issue with a certain use, stop and we will discuss it and discuss how to deal with it. Or on some of them, I'm sure, discuss what they are.
Okay.
So everything in the use above was covered. Amusement enterprises, anybody have an issue with that? Animal feed store? Auction house? Automobile repair shop? Automobile retail sales and related parts and accessories? Automobile and trailer sales? New or used vehicles with outside storage? Baseball or football stadiums and sports arenas? Carpenter cabinet shop? What is a Class A club?
Class A club. It is a private club that can have so much alcohol. And I will have to find out what that is.
I guess we're gonna wanna know Class B as well while you're there.
I'm looking up that one.
Well, it'll be right under it, so. If I could get my marks and right. So Class A is a premises which is owned or leased by a corporation, partnership, business, trust, or association, and is operated thereby as a bona fide nonprofit social, fraternal, or war veterans club as determined by the Director of Alcoholic Beverage Control of the Kansas Department of Revenue for the exclusive use of the corporate stockholders, partners, trust beneficiaries, or associates, and their families and guests accompanying them. No membership required.
Okay.
And then Class B is a premises operated for profit by a corporation, partnership, or individual to which members of such club may resort for the consumption of food or alcoholic beverages and for entertainment memberships only.
Deb's question is, what does entertainment mean?
I would have to resort to the Webster's Dictionary for that one.
Okay. Do you have an issue, does anyone have an issue with either of those uses, either together or separately?
I would possibly have an issue with entertainment,
Oh,
depending
okay.
on.
Well,
If you're concerned with adult entertainment, they would have special requirements that they
Okay.
would have to
one would think.
meet. And I could look those up, but
So that is excluded from those two types.
yes, that
That
requires a
specific
different.
use. Do you have a problem with any other ones, just that one?
No,
Okay,
just that.
so. We can move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Commercial dry cleaning and or laundry? None?
No, we need that.
Maybe.
Commercial, sorry?
That could cause pollution, but I don't know if that's a problem there.
Well, that's a regulatory issue, not a land use
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, it's not gonna be in the grading and the wells.
Thank you, engineer.
Yeah.
Commercial storage warehouse,
It's fine.
construction sales and service, drinking establishments, electronic assembly, flea market, industrial dry cleaner, industrial laundry, lawnmower and similar type equipment sales and repairs, lumber yard, machine shop. Should probably keep that one since that's the one we need. Microwave tower, I think there I would exclude that. Monument sales. Outdoor storage yard. Lease space for temporary storage of operable commercial trucks or trailers. I would like to exclude that as well. If anyone has discussion and thinks these should be kept, I'm not dictating this, so.
Can you give a reason?
Well, there are things that just storing it there, it's gonna have screening, I guess, but it's right against the residential property as well. And if you're storing large equipment, that's clearly gonna be above the fence. We can discuss it if you think that it should be
Yeah, I
used
just
or
wondered.
is similar to. I mean, there's vehicle sales on some of the other uses, and automobile repair shop, I presumably would have some of that as well, but
Mhm.
the boats, campers, large equipment is kind of what I was looking at as
Okay, yeah.
plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, supply houses. A lot of these are just too small to, wow. I apologize for making you read all this. I didn't realize when I started that it was gonna be a pony riding ring. I guess I don't have a problem with that, especially if there's not permanent stables. We can discuss that one more if you guys think.
Yeah, what might that be?
Well, there's really nothing,
Cover it in dirt and run a pony around in a circle and sell it.
pretty much.
But you can't keep the pony there.
If you wanted to have
And
this like
sell-
pony
it is
rides.
For selling the?
What, for
Oh,
selling rides, presumably.
So kind of like the zoo has, or Tanganyika does anyway. I guess it's camel, but just where you can ride the ponies. I don't know. Some of these things are pretty old.
Yeah, I think
So
you're right.
We definitely need to update But it doesn't allow stables, so we would have to be bringing it in.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
essentially it would be an open field.
Yes.
Printing press operations, private club, I think we've covered.
Yeah,
Radio transmission tower.
just
Tower.
on the
Oh, sorry.
private club, does that go back to the entertainment thing?
Let me just look it up real quick. It's not specifically defined in our zoning code. So that,
Well, private clubs and club, what was it, A and B, seem pretty similar, and maybe that's just an update that needs to happen. Radio transmission tower, I think I would like to exclude. If there's any other discussion, speak up. Rental facilities where the primary business use is the rental of space or events. For events, sorry. Restaurant, drinking establishment, tattoo parlor, tavern, television transmission tower, I would like to exclude.
Now, by doing those exclusions, we're not going to be detrimental on the folks that live down there, their receptions and things, are we?
Well, they're presumably being served now for radio and television without a tower right next to them.
Well, I know there's areas just on 79th Street that they have, I don't know if Cox is even able to get to them.
There's
I don't
a tower
know.
just south of Broadway of 79th right in there, so I can't see them.
Their service then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tool equipment rental with outside storage. I think I'm okay with that one, but if anybody has discussion, speak up. Outdoor theaters. Is that a drive-in?
basically.
Again, size restrictions would, I mean, not that you can do a mini drive-in, but wholesale food, commissary, catering, uses customarily incidental to any of the above uses when located on the same lot. I don't know that I know what that means.
So if a restaurant drinking establishment has a restaurant, but they were to also cater, well, I guess that's an odd use anyway, but, so
Yeah.
that's a bad example, but a
Well,
business that kind of coincides with the primary business,
seems
as
like
long as it's not the primary business.
If you don't have a donkey ride.
There you go.
Actually, it's pony rides, not donkey rides. It's pretty clear. So, it seems like a comprehensive list. If there's anything that anybody has a little bit of unease with, please speak up and we can discuss it more. And also,
Let's
sorry,
exclude all the towers and, that's good.
I think that's where we're at. The only additional one was the,
Outdoor storage yard.
yeah, outdoor storage yard. As the owner, if you have any say in any of this that concerns you, now would be the time for you to speak up as well, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
He would actually be the renter, just so you know.
Okay.
I'd actually be the renter.
Okay.
Just want to clarify.
Really, I just have questions on some of it. With the outdoor storage, is that like if I'm just, because like some of the other stuff that you listed on there also had with outdoor storage on stuff. The only other thing I could think of that would, at least for me, I know you guys got to consider if anybody else ever gets in there, would be like a forklift or something like that.
Yeah, and that's why we have the requirement for you to put up fencing on, what was it, the west and the south?
Okay.
So that is so that you can use the outside and store outside within reason, obviously. What we're talking about is if you've decided you want to park a bunch of tractor trailers there, that would be allowed use for that one that we were talking about.
Okay.
And just park them there and leave them as, or storage containers or something like that, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
Now, I believe there is like a small storage container in the back of the lot currently. So,
I believe there is too, and only thing you need to know also is that anything stored outdoor has to be on all weather surface too.
okay,
And I don't believe that is currently.
okay. Okay, yeah, that's the owner's deal. I think it might have been there when they bought the place, because they just bought the place.
Is that allowed within the current land use, or is it just a non-conforming?
In commercial zoning districts D and E, cargo containers shall not be visible from the public street, either by placement or fencing. So it's limited to certain things, but it would be allowed in the zoning that it's allowed right now. So there can
Okay.
be the cargo containers.
As long as it's screened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any more questions for the applicant?
I don't have any more questions either.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Then considering all of the presented items, what would be the best way to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish?
I think that you could make the motion to, if you're wanting to approve it, make a motion to recommend approval from the D-Light commercial to the heavy commercial with the protective overlay that would require opaque fencing of those materials that were listed and would exclude the 4 uses.
Does somebody want to make that motion?
I will make that motion as stated.
Hold on.
We could state more specifically if you'd like.
Just to include the protective overlay, and you said that, so.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So I have a motion and second to approve with the protected overlay on all the stuff that Angie said. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Thank you. Next item of business is a public hearing to consider a vacation of easement in Timber Creek Estates Edition. The same rules apply that I read last time and the same reasoning. At this point, I would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and second to open a public hearing. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? We are now formally open for the public hearing to consider a vacation request for the city of Haysville. Do any members of the planning commission have a conflict of interest in this case? If so, please disqualify yourselves from further action on this case. Have any members received any written or electronic communication on this matter? Will staff please present?
So this is a vacation of utility easement in Timber Creek Estates. The vacation is a 10-foot easement located on lots 22 to 41, Block A, Timber Creek Estates Edition, more commonly known as 437 East River Birch Street to 107 East River Birch Circle, and the 10-foot easement located on lots 21 to 22, Block A, Timber Creek Estates Edition, more commonly known as 430 East River Circle and 437 East River Circle. The city and the property owners have submitted the request together. All but one property owner has signed the application. We have been unable to contact this owner. A little bit of background information. The Timber Creek Estates Edition was first platted in 2006. We are recommending that the commission approve the vacation request. Staff does not see any negative impact on the residents in the area. This portion of East River Birch Street to East River Birch Circle Road is utilized for residents in the Timber Creek Estates and vacating this rear easement will only affect those living in the addition. We have heard back from all the utility companies. Their comments are in your packet. I can answer any questions you might have on those.
Sorry, so looking at the plat, is it the whole south side and then turning back up the east side?
So there, yes, when the area was platted, they had a rear utility easement, which all the utilities are located in the front. So if you're familiar with the area, if you go over there, there's a row of trees on the south side, and the utility easement is, their properties go into those trees, and it's 30 foot in to where that utility easement is, so it sits right in front of those trees. So any of the property owners looking at putting a shed or anything back there are gonna have to deal with that. We've contacted all the utility companies, none of them see any future use for that. So that's what we're looking at. But yes, you'll see it goes all along that south side. And then the property owners of 21 and 22 did ask to vacate the east side also. We did not go to the north side of 18, 19, 20, and 21 because lot 17 has not been built on it. We didn't want to go that far without knowing what they would be doing on those properties with houses.
Okay. Are there any more questions for staff? You are the applicant, right? Okay. Now's the time for any member of the public to speak. Seeing none, we'll move on. Rebuttal. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Motion second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Public comment is now closed for commission action, and the floor is open to commissioners' comments. So, without reading through all this, there's nothing in that easement now. And are there houses built along that south line already?
There's one in the middle that is currently building, and there's two that are already built, farther to the east, southern east side. And then the very end of the cul-de-sac, that one is in the process of building. The one right next to it is already built. So it actually was the owners of a couple of the lots that approached me wanting the easement to see if they could vacate it for building their house.
So AT&T, Cox, none of them are in that, they're all in the front?
They're all in the front.
That's really weird.
Evergy did comment that they had something that was located in the area further out, but it's not in that easement.
Okay.
That was the only comment we received back. So yes, all the utilities are in the front. I'm assuming it was put there because they might use it. They didn't want to
Because
tear out the trees.
typically, if water and sewer doesn't use it, it's only 10-foot easement, but Cox and AT&T would use the back lot to serve all of that. And if it's all in the front, and we confirmed that with Cox and AT&T
Yep.
and Zayo and everybody else that could possibly want to be in there. Okay,
Yeah, it's pretty wooded on the backside, right? Yeah.
so that's why everybody just avoided it.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Well, and it seems particularly odd to have an easement and then another 30 feet of your property that you basically can't use.
I think when they platted it, they were trying to maintain the
Trees?
trees.
Yeah. Okay. I would entertain a motion to either approve or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve the request to vacate the easement in Timber Creek addition as presented.
I would second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to recommend approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Sorry, just trying to organize. Next item of business is a public hearing to consider zoning code amendment to Article 9 and Article 10. Same reasons as before, I would entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I second.
I have a motion and second to open the public hearing. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. We are now formally open for public hearing to consider zoning code amendment for the city of Haysville. Do any members have a conflict that we're aware of?
Uh-huh.
Have any members received any written or electronic communications on this matter?
No.
Staff, please present.
So with COVID, staff began reviewing all the committees. We have several committees that have large numbers to them. We looked at Planning Commission. BZA is one that typically only meets once a year. So with that, we are proposing combining the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals into one commission and reducing the number of members down to 7 from 11. The Planning Commission information we moved to Chapter 1 of the City Code where other city board information is detailed. We would be removing sections that create the planning and BZA committees, and they would be moved into Chapter 1. That would allow us not to, if we did make any changes, we wouldn't have to have a public hearing. And then these would be presented to council at the same time, so all the changes would be uniform and done at the same time. With these changes, reducing the board numbers down from 11 to 7. We do have a attachment in your packet that shows the other area towns and the numbers they have in their committees, and you can look at that and see. We are one of the last ones that have 11 on their committee, and everyone else that does have that large of a number, their population is much larger than ours. So even with tonight of trying to get a quorum, it's getting to be a little bit difficult, and we do have 3 vacancies still on our committee. With this, the attachment shows the changes that would be presented to council to go into Chapter 1. We have one board member that has stated that he does not want to be reappointed. He's been on, and that's Bob. He has been on the commission for several years, and he has said he's done. So with state statutes, with the 7, we would have to have 5 in town, and we have to have 2 area of influence. So we would look at, see if there's anybody else that wanted to step down first, and then we would go forward with making changes from there.
So we would have to reduce our existing number.
We would have to, so currently we have 8, we have 1 stepping down, so that takes us to 7. With Kansas state statutes, for going down to 7, we have to have 2 area of influence. Currently we only have 1, that's Pat Hatcher, so we would have to reduce 1 member and then add another one back on. That would be in the area of influence.
Okay, which is exclusively outside city limits.
Yes.
Okay. And the rest of the breakdown is 1 per ward?
We're going to try to achieve that, but we're not going to set that in the code this time. It's going to be within city limits. We will try to meet those guidelines of trying to hit someone from each ward. But that's just kind of one of the things that we're finding difficult is getting volunteers from the different wards. So we're not going to stipulate that. We're going to go with city limits and then 2 from area of influence.
Okay. Any additional questions for staff?
And I guess just to clarify for everybody with BZA, BZA typically only meets once a year. When we would have something for BZA, we would have a separate meeting beforehand. We would adjourn that meeting and then do Planning Commission, just so everybody understands how that would work.
And that was historically made up of a member from the Planning Commission and members of, that weren't Planning Commission members, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Who's the person on it now?
Bob, I think,
Bob.
which makes that even more complicated. Now's the time for any member of the public to speak. Seeing none, we'll move on. Any questions? No. Entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second.
Motion second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Public comment is now closed for commission action on the floor. Is open to commissioners' comments. So I think we have to do something. My concern with combining BZA with planning is the purpose of that, if, and tell me if I'm wrong, is you come here and we make a decision about your zoning and you don't like our decision, you go to BZA to appeal it, which is made up of different people, right?
Yes, that is a possibility. Typically, what you see more of though is the zoning person or building person that denies somebody. They then would come and appeal that decision to the Board of Zoning Appeals and for variances. Those are
So,
historically what the BZA has been seeing. I don't know that the last time that BZA saw a zoning case that
is that the purpose of the Board of Zoning Appeals?
the purpose is to be able to appeal a zoning decision.
Whether it's staff or planning commission?
Right.
Yeah. That makes me a little bit concerned that there's no other, and not that we can't come up with a better solution, but in my mind, it's enough that we probably need to discuss it to make sure everybody's aware. And the perception of taking away the avenue for a true and fair appeal gives me a little bit of pause. The other thing that I will mention is I get it's difficult to get one from every ward, but I think the purpose of that is so that everybody in this neighborhood can't just make decisions for the entire town. It's spread out so that everybody in all the neighborhoods gets a say or could have a say. I don't know that we're at risk of, I don't know, everybody on Ranger getting on the planning commission and deciding that, now they're doing something special there. But that's, I think, why that was set up originally with one from each ward, to make sure you're getting representation from all of town. And we're going to go into it with the best intent, but 10, 15 years down the line, if the code's not written that way, there's nothing keeping whoever in the future is doing this. If I get hit by a bus, then, and Deb too, then I would like to make sure that part of it is discussed as well. So if anybody has thoughts on either of those items.
Well, I have a concern on the members. We're having a little bit of problem getting folks, and then we're cutting it down. But we're wanting to take on another group also.
It would be the same membership though, so we
Yeah.
won't need 5 of
I
them.
understand that, but if you're cutting the numbers down and you said one of us would need to step down, do we have to cut the numbers down?
You can propose anything at this point. The reason that was chosen is to keep an odd number. That number could be set at anything. There do have to be the 2 from the area of influence. 7 seemed like a manageable number based historically on,
But we could go to 9.
you could. It just seems that there's been a struggle to maintain a membership of even 9 people for the
No, I
past several years.
understand that, but it just seems odd that we've got these people that are coming, but yet we're gonna have to have one of them step down to get it down to 7.
You would have to get one of the planning commission down. There would be no one coming from the BZA.
One of us would have to elect to step down, or we get into some sort of cage match situation. I don't know
Or
what
we
we're
go
gonna
to
do.
9.
Or we go to 9. But, so 9 would require a 5 quorum. And we struggled to get it tonight.
Well, we thought we did. We didn't, but we
Okay.
thought we did.
Yeah. And if that's the direction we want to go, we can go that way. What does that structure look like then? What could that structure look
Allowing
like?
Zoom, that will help.
Are you talking about for awards if we went that way?
Yeah, if we, as part of that discussion with going from 11 to 9 instead of 7, could we have the opportunity to have one per ward and the other two just be anywhere in the city?
Yeah, you'd have one at large. I mean, it's open for discussion, so if that's what you want to propose, yes.
The other comment on the number that was selected, certain things within the zoning code or statutes require, some of them are just a majority vote of the people who are present. Other items is a majority vote of all members of the planning commission. So for instance, tonight, if only 5 of you had been here, not for this particular zoning case, but for some types of zoning cases, all 5 of you would have had to vote in favor. So it makes it difficult to make certain decisions if you're struggling to get all those members. So if you reduce the numbers, you don't have to have quite as many in attendance, and you don't then require a
Well, the
complete
issue
majority
is,
decision.
is getting
Unanimous.
members that are serious about attending.
Right.
Because even with 5, you could have 1 or 2 that,
Of course.
Yeah, but the point made is it's easier to do 7 than 9.
yes, I understand.
Yeah, and I guess the question is, does anybody think that they are going to need to step away for whatever reason in the next year-ish anyway?
I probably will,
You think so?
yeah.
Well, does that change your opinion at all?
Well, then that, yeah.
Okay.
I
You
just,
didn't wanna
you
be
know, we
mean.
come, and I just didn't want anybody to,
Feel pushed out?
yeah.
I understand that. That's a tough decision.
Well, if,
I'm so tenderhearted.
we all know that about you, Dad, yes. It makes the decision easier. We will miss you. Sorry to
Yes.
lose you, but
I was gonna
that
fight
makes
for
this
you.
discussion much easier.
Okay.
Bob as well. Bob has been on the planning commission
40?
almost as long as I've been alive.
Does he get a plaque?
Yes,
He should.
At a minimum.
Yeah.
Ministry after or something.
Yeah. So, any more discussion then about the number? From anybody else too?
Number isn't really as big of a deal to me as the,
Representation?
yeah, I feel like you have everybody on, you know, this side of town making decisions for that side.
Yeah. And if, we know going into that it's gonna make it more difficult for us to staff members. But in my opinion, I would rather have representation from everywhere in town and have that written into the code so that if we need somebody from Ward 2, we can get someone from Ward 2 and recruit somebody from Ward 2 if we have to, so that everybody is represented. I don't know. I could discuss that more if anybody else feels strongly that it's not that important, but
I just think it's important to get people,
yes.
and we're being more restrictive. I mean, I totally get what your goal is and the reason for it, and I totally agree, but we have trouble getting at large.
I don't think it's,
We would eliminate the at-large position for this, right? If we went that way, that's the
Seven.
issue.
there would still be one at
One?
large. Mhm.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'd have to double check again, but I'm pretty sure I looked beforehand. There's nothing right now that currently says that it has to be 2 from each ward and then the at-large, I don't. That's just historically how the mayors have always tried to do it, is to try to get 2 from each ward, 1 at-large, and the
Right.
2.
So it's just
Out of
always
it.
been that understanding, it's not currently written into?
Nothing's currently written, that's just
Okay,
what we've always tried to achieve. is to
And-
have that balance.
Well, maybe we should just leave it at that.
Yeah,
That's our goal.
if that's the way it's always been and we've done this good a job for this long,
Mhm.
then it's probably not an issue. But I think, and that will leave us more flexibility in
Mhm.
being able to take on at-large members as we can. Okay. Anybody else have comments? Or discussion?
So for the other towns that have 7 members, they also have the separate board.
combined?
Yeah.
Andover is combined, Mulvane, am I correct on that? Do you remember?
I'm pulling it up.
We have it, we've been looking at this for a while.
That was in here, right? Did you write combined?
No, I didn't. I know
Okay.
Andover does, I know,
Oh, they're just about the same
pretty sure
population too.
Mulvane does. I know Andover is one for sure, I believe Mulvane is, I'm trying to think, I know there's a third. Andover is one, their zoning code is one that we've been really looking at, they've really updated theirs. There's a lot of changes, a lot of good information that we've been borrowing from them. And they're one that has a combined and it has went down to 7, so.
Any other discussion? And I would entertain a motion.
Does it read like this? Is that what you need?
Yes.
If I can find it. I had it.
You can't just do so moved this
Might
time,
just
Deb.
add as presented,
Had what?
as presented, the changes as presented.
Well, if anybody else can find the motion, feel free.
So I can read it. It was just
Okay.
recommends either approval or denial of the zoning code amendment for the city of Haysville as presented.
So
Would be
moved.
simple.
A second.
I have a motion and second to approve as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Anybody like to revisit the bicycle ped plan while we're here?
Looks like this one has comments in it. Is this the final version?
Yeah, it does. Page 8.
Oops, that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You copied
Okay.
your own.
So this is for information and this will come back and be incorporated?
When we look at the whole comp plan, this will be part of it,
Okay.
and we'll have to have an open hearing for that, so.
Oh, good.
We got the script down.
Yeah.
Is the comp plan, like, where are we at looking at funding for the recommendations?
So, the last meeting, when we were supposed to have, the only thing we had was a park plan on there. Since it wasn't an open hearing, we just emailed it out. So that was just for you guys for review. I didn't hear anything back that you guys wanted any changes or anything, but so it'll be later in this year.
I'll just give this to you.
Okay?
I just had some questions and you can see I've got question marks by
Okay.
some of the things and maybe some typos.
Okay. So, part of getting that comp plan accomplished and getting to it is making these changes and then going forward with some other stuff that we need to work on within zoning and everything, and working on other comp plans and looking at them.
I did have a couple of specific questions on the historic district master plan. Do you need me to ask you those in public, or can you just look at this?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, you've got, it's faint, but it says schoolhouse, the location of the schoolhouse, and then general store. I'm not sure we're still, look, we were trying for a church really, really hard, and that was difficult, so I'm not sure. Possibly the historic committee should look at that. And,
I think that had came up last year or the year before when we were looking at it, and they decided to go ahead and leave it, just because of long-term. I know we made changes to it then and updated it. I was pretty sure we did. Because it is showing the church, right?
I didn't see one.
Okay. We can look at that if you want to give me your copy, and then we can go over
Okay.
it. Well, it's the historic, but it's in the park plan. It's a historic part of it, so.
So it's possible the park plan just didn't incorporate
Yeah.
what was done at the
Yeah.
historic committee meeting.
And then on page 18, do we have to, and this isn't a deal breaker with me, but under completed improvements, it mentions diseased rose bushes were removed. You know, if you trim bagworms off a tree, are you gonna put that on here? I think that's getting a little, it could be removed, I think, if that's just general
Maintenance.
maintenance.
So you just don't want that listed, correct?
That'd be it. And then, in the second paragraph, should the blue, I call it the blue house that the city rents out, should that be listed in that area as well?
What page is that?
It's page 18 still. It's under the historic park, it's just the second paragraph. It lists the gazebo and everything else, and technically that house is on historic
Okay, I can look
district
at that.
property.
You're gonna give me your notes, right?
I am.
Okay.
You can have them. Yep.
Okay, any other discussion? Any old business? Any correspondence and informational reading? Are there any committee updates? If we cut that number down and we lose some members, we should reassess committee representation at a later date, just to make sure that everywhere that we should have a representative, we should have a representative.
And I think that in July, when there's the election of officers, would be a good time to add that on the agenda.
And any off-agenda items? Item 10.
I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mark.
You bet.